Hi guys, so I was asked to make a video on Elise. She's a special boss that we had, I think last week. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant, but the thing is, she does have some kind of interesting skills, but the problem is going to be in her placement. So as you can see, she has low vitality and power, high technique, and decent speed, meaning she's going to have some nice reflex, but survivability is going to be kind of low. Her placement is in the midline, the right mid is the best, and she has a center back position. So, in my opinion, she's mainly useful for COT, but it's just not going to cut it in a regular team. And I'm going to explain that by looking at her skills. So, first of all, her active is one of the best actives in the games, in my opinion. Increase team's reflex by 40% for 15 minutes is just something extremely great above an ace. So if it's just for even the active, I would say it's still a reason to consider her as a player. Now, her second skill is also pretty cool. Increase critical rate by 30% and action speed by 15% for 10 minutes when being attacked or with a pass. Now, the reason why I believe she's not going to work is exactly because of the skill's conditions. If it was not when being attacked or with a pass and it actually applied when she attacked, this would actually make her a really interesting backliner. The problem is that when being attacked, it then means that she's going to be damaged, and since she doesn't have high survivability, she's not going to take advantage of this buff. And if she's doing a pass, knowing that she's not a passer, it also means that whatever happens, she's not going to take advantage of this buff. And this is when the whole system is going to start crashing down. Her next skill is going to be based on critical hits. Again, it imagines that you're using the buff that you can't actually use. So only in manual will this actually function. Recover action bar by 10% and hide by 15% within the position of a critical hit. I just want to point out this is Virgil level, but the only condition is a critical hit. Who, of course, if it's midline, you're facing legends who will destroy you when you're trying to do this, or in backline, there's also a good chance they're running something like EMB themselves, and if not, critting them might already be giving them the ball. And that this is the reason why she's really great in Coliseum of Trials is, not Trials of Despair, well also Trials actually, both of them. Increase team's attack power by 15%. I know it's not that high of a value, but it will affect directly your score, so that's really cool. And in the Coliseum, if you keep her low level, you can use her in backline just to buff them in those where you can't actually use your ace or your managers. This can still be pretty nice. So to recap, her active is extremely powerful, so max that out whatever happens. This is good, but still low, so if you want to use her in PvE and PvP, you're actually not going to max this one right away, but if you're using her for COD and COT, this is the only skill that really matters. So again, it's a question of how you're using her. Now, if you're using her in PvE and PvP, you're going to max out both of these out, but again, you're going to have some issues with critical rate. So there are a few ways to actually get out of this bind, and I'm going to try to point out stone-wise how to do them, but again, I'm not going to advise using this player for regular gameplay. Again, COD, we have no questions there. You can use her as much as you want. Now, she does have some nice stone slots. So there's a bunch of alternate builds you can run. So of course, as you've noticed, critting for her is her one lifeline. But you do want her to survive, and she's a technic build, so she needs reflex. So the most obvious build that's going to come to mind, again, Light, Thunder, Andor is going to be running. The one thing that does give crit in this game is going to be a Metatron's Will. Increase action bar and attack power, just action bar, and critical rate by 5%. I'm getting mixed up. So it goes up pretty decently, and it's going to give her, I think, 75% crit rate buff, who's going to be pretty close to enough unless they're running an Alice or they're running a Silk. So even then, it's still going to be kind of iffy. You're going to want to have some other crit buffing totems in the line, in the team, anything that can increase her crit rate. Stone-wise in the Andor section is pretty simple. You're going to go for the Andor reflex. All the other stones don't really work because if she doesn't crit, it doesn't make sense. You could give her a Blazing Essence, but it's penetration or steal, so when she gets attacked, it's not that great. You could give her Pterodac's Blood, but she's not attack power based. and you could give her endless burning matter. That kind of negates the entire point of running, or you could run a Yuri or anything better. In the Thunder, it's basically going to be the exact same dilemma. So I'm going to say we can go for just a good old defense stone, or you can now go to the more modern decrease inflicted damage, on top of it giving you spirits when being attacked. Both are pretty cool. So you can, if somehow you magically get enough critical rate that you don't need to run Metatron's Will, you can actually directly go to a Shard of Blamung, and this will give her an extremely high damage output, while healing line and action bar. Well, the Metatron's Will would have allowed her to have a nice action bar too and heal the action bar of the line a bit faster. So both of the light uniques are going to work very well on her. I'm not going to advise Thousands Watchers, again, because she's not based on survival, and reflexing is just not going to be the objective. The objective is to use her as a healer. So let's look at her more on the chain level. Since she's a special player and I basically own all of them, she has to be here somewhere. I haven't finished maxing her out myself, so yeah. Changing her stone slot colors has completely no value, so I'm not going to advise you to do that in any way. Just on an ace level, it's pretty low. Max hype, crit rate, except for herself, it's not that much of a buff. So chain-wise, this is pretty bad. No one's ever going to be running that. The Leah part's actually kind of cool. The rest of them are not that useful, even Noah. Iggy, I don't really see her run that often, but it seems that with some of the new builds, she is more popular, so it is not that bad of a rival chain. And then we have an Affection Chain of Lucian. I'm going to say this is the best of her chain, because again, it's more of a mono Andorish kind of build if you're running her as an actual team, and if you're running her in COT, COD, you're already believing that if they get to your backline, you've already lost, so it just doesn't matter. Now, on a skin level, I'm going to say her first skin is nice. Not a fan of the second. The E's okay. I'm still going to say I find the first skin's the best. No special skins currently. I, again, haven't really worked on getting her superb, but I mean, some people are doing that. Again, she is pretty cool, so I'm going to say, again, COD really great. And if you're not using her there, use her backline, get her the totems, and she could still pull through. Using her midline is pure and complete suicide. She will get crushed by the legendary mids. She doesn't have the survival to actually take a hit. So I hope this helps people understand how Elise works. Again, not a bad player, just more of a conditional player. And if they ever decide to change the skill that stacks, she will then become actually very viable. So if you want, right on the forums, try to get them to do it, because it kind of just doesn't make sense. So have a good day, guys, and I hope this helps you see exactly how she is. If you have any questions, comment, videos you want, just put a comment in the description, and always don't forget to subscribe if you like the content I'm doing. Have a good day.